Hello world, sorry for the delay. We here now are starting the final tour through the End of the World Biennial of Contemporary Art in Shushu Gallery, St. Petersburg, Russia. But we're closing it in the apartment 666, but just to start it in another more public space. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most unfamous gallery of St. Petersburg, Shushu Gallery. And our biennial, The End of the World, consists of the works of 25 artists from 6 countries. And we have 3 curators. And I don't know what to say. Well, just a little remark before starting. The exhibition actually doesn't require very much of intellectual comment because all the works are quite clear. So let's begin. We're now in the kitchen and we have a performance which is called the Washing Dishes from Natalia Petukhova, the co-curator of and the member of the most ancient member of the Bobo art group. And for the English speakers, we're starting from the series of the St. Petersburg artist whose name is Leda. And this series is inspired by the events of 2020 in the United States, the massive protest against racism in American police, which was called Black Lives Matter, and you of course know, everybody knows that. And this is the quite little, just we have 3 works which are between graphics and paintings. They have a very interesting structure if you look closely. I don't know if the camera of my notebook can give you the image, can give you the idea. They're quite strong, they're quite forceful. So the little drawings in black and white, there are 3 of them, which is kind of a black skull. I don't know. And here is another little series of Leda, which is untitled, but looks quite apocalyptic. Also, we have here a painting of an artist from Omsk, a city in Siberia, Nikita Pozdnyakov, which is called The Abandoned City. I want you to remember this picture because I don't know whatever the author, what was the concept, the idea of the author. The clothing of the characters looks like it comes from 20th century, the middle of 20th century, like it's very Soviet. So together with the other works in the exhibition, maybe you can interpret it as something, as a story from the era of Stalin's terror. And here we have the project of Anna Isidis, an artist from St. Petersburg who worked during the lockdown period as a delivery girl, sorry. But that was like a very performative delivery because she was wearing also the Plague Doctor mask. Well, actually, people admire that. So here I have the more close look. So it was like a kind of masqueradization of the masking regime. And here we have the Lenin's corner from the St. Petersburg Added Cyanide Zloy, which is called Lenin Resurrection, because as maybe you know, Lenin is not buried in the ground, but he's, according to the ancient Egyptian tradition, he's like a mummy now. And the ancient Egyptians, they believed that the mummies are gonna come back one day in their proper bodies. So we're all expecting when Lenin comes back and finishes his business with the world revolution and hang all the bourgeois and the fascists. Well, this is a fantasy of an artist, how this new resurrected Lenin might look like. So another conceptual work comes from our good friend and a person who is in the list of the so-called foreign agents. This is a new creature of our government, this label of the foreign agent, which is attributed to the people who criticize the government. And our friend Daria Apakhonchich was one of the first 5 persons who were labeled as foreign agents. So this message, this text, is an extract which must be placed before every textual message that these people who are labeled as foreign agents, they must accompany each and every text, even if it's just yes. If it's said in public, they must place this message in front of it, which goes like, this message is composed or distributed by the foreign media or Russian enterprise, which is playing the role of the foreign agent. So now, even if Daria Apakhonchich wants to say happy birthday, for example, to someone, or just I'm selling my bicycle, first she must say, I'm a foreign agent, this message was composed and distributed and blah 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 by the foreign agent, which is actually, it's not, it's very, I admire this work of Daria, because it's not hers, it's a collaboration between Daria and Russian government, which is very, of course, contemporary. And here we have another carnival, cannibalization of the masking regime of COVID-19. This is the photo taken by the nurse, the person who works as a nurse, whose name is Alena Strachova. It goes along with a quote from Voltaire, and it says, like, the art of medicine is to entertain the patient while the nature is healing his disease. So like this line of masquerade is very important in our exhibition, and like plenty of artists are playing with masks, actually. Here we have another series of Leda, which is inspired by Kolyma stories by Varlam Shalamov. He's the famous Russian writer, less famous than Solzhenitsyn, but to my opinion, he's more important and forceful, actually, who spent important part of his life in Stalin's concentration camps. And here we have a very powerful series of Leda. inspired by these short stories from Kolyma, from Gulag. Here are the works of Nikita Kolobov, an artist from Volgograd. These works have like the subtext of ecological catastrophe with garbage, and originally these are prints, and originally these are quite huge articles made of plaster and paintings. So paints, I don't know. Okay, so here are the photos by Sophie Sloan. It's a photographer from St. Petersburg. She made it during the lockdown. Like, it's called The Ghosts, and it consists of the images which continue to show themselves to the empty city, and it's quite poetic. Here is another work of Sianidloy, which is called You're Here, and this is the mixture of Russian folklore and some context from the mass media of the period of lockdown, in some episode that went on with this so-called self-isolation regime in Russia. And here's another work of Sianidloy, made by Blood and Honey, which is called The Red Bird. I don't think it requires any comment. Here, it's a portrait of a journalist from St. Petersburg, David Frankl, also by Sianidloy, and it's made by on the election ballot. This year we had the so-called how to say, the correction of our constitution, which now allows our president to be with us forever. And our friend David Frankl, a journalist, went to one election station to overview some violations of the law, which were happening according to some messages. So he went there, and the cops broke his arm. So Sianidloy drew his portrait on his election ballot, and it's the part of the series which is called the Hematomas. And there we have the images of the members of Russian civil society beaten up, tortured, and I don't know, even killed by they survived the domestic violence, the violence from police or from unknown persons, but most likely it is like political violence. So David Frankl, the reporter, the journalist, we have his work too. This work shows the funeral of the COVID, of some person dead of COVID, but we decided to show it in our exhibition because it's quite it's forceful as almost as a work of art, and some images are very could be a symbol of the modern life in Russia, and remind of the best works of Tarkovsky or even Peter Bruegel the Elder. And here's the one that was published. And here's the work of a Belarusian artist named Alexy Kuzmich. This is a part of his street intervention, which is called I Believe. This was made in August of 2020 in front of the police officers, as you can see. And after this, he was taken by the law enforcement and tortured. Now he's safe. But the beginning was actually quite funny, because the important part of this performance was visiting his election station and taking his election ballot, and then he drew something like penis, I believe, on it, and put it on his chest, and then he posed in striking the pose of the Christ. But he was not repressed after the first part, but also only after the second part, when he repeated it in front of the police. Then he was tortured. Luckily, he's safe now. Okay, we're moving on. Here's the drawing from Olga Kisilova from Irkutsk. She's working with a metaphor of the Middle Ages, as if the Middle Ages restarted, or maybe it didn't. So this one is, the big one is called the end of the civil society, and the little one is called the riders, modern days. It clearly is the symbol, it's one of the Christian symbol of the apocalypse. And here are the works of Irina Werner, who lives in Altaiski region. And I don't know if I must comment it, but the messages are quite clear. Apocalyptic, if I might say. They're quite strong. Here are the works of Natalia Petukhova. This series is called The Wholly Extinct Animals. This is Telatin, the Australian wolf. And there's the Abaddon tortoise. These are the animals who extinct because of the human activity. Here's the work of Alejandro Elasco from Bolivia, which is called The Future Has a Chinese Face. And here's a project, very important because the KZGallery.com is the site, and there we have you have the collective is making the exhibitions of rather famous modern artists from Russia, and they make also not only the exhibitions but also the archive. This site has an English version, and if you go there, you might find the exhibitions that we recommend in the context of the end of the world, which are the apocalypse, and Aidarbek Chintayev's The Lenin's Island. Там всякие печеньки. And in our exhibition, we also have some works of Aidarbek Chintayev. These are the compositions made of like usual cups, but please do carefully. What a sophisticated design you can make out of a usual just cop person. So this is the version of the zombie apocalypse. You might call it a copalypse. I believe that's the proper name. It's a pity that they don't have it in the jewelry stores, because they're quite beautiful. So Here is another masquerade made by Cyanidzoy. It's the series of the masks decorated by the flowers, which were found in the trash cans of Bogoslovskaya Cemetery in St. Petersburg. So these masks have some poetic slogans and flowers from graves. And the title of the series is The Alive. So, for example, here we have I'm dancing while I'm alive, and here we have the alive ones are also sleeping, etc. And it's also accompanied by some kind of a lookbook played by Anton Komandirov, a musician from St. Petersburg, who's playing a role of some post-apocalyptic cannibal and also an artist. Here is another work inspired by the political events in Belarus, which is called Saturn. Saturn is I don't know if I have to explain, but he's a god of the time in Greek and Roman mythology, and he's famous by his acts of violence, domestic violence. He was eating his own children. Well, here we have this character played by the president of Belarus. Okay, here are two more works of Leda, also inspired by Belarusian context. And here we're moving to the works of Tatiana Trapeznikova, an artist who's making these psychedelic icons made of the images taken from Orthodox mythology and also from non-Christian mystic religions. Tatiana Trapeznikova is now living in psychoneurological asylum, which is type of the closed institution. And she's working. I'm not saying it just to make it some kind of exotic. I'm just I'm saying it because it's important for the artist, and she's often putting her own images, like self-portraits, in her works, alongside with the images of God, of Christ, and some other mystic characters. So her background, she started in Soviet era, and she was actually, how to say, faking the icons and selling them abroad. So, but now she's continuing to work with it. You can clearly see the traces of these traditional techniques of making the icons in her manner. And here I have another series of Leda inspired by Kolyma short stories. We've already seen some of them, but there's a different technique. Very simple. It's just a gel pen, and this also resembles the icons, actually, like the faces that are not exactly portraits, but more like some kind of sacred images of the face, in the way that the face is shown on the icons. So here, these two artists make at the same time the great visual contrast, but also great resemblance in the author's approach. So here I have the wall the interactive wall where the participants of the exhibition, but also the visitors, can share their ideas and images about the ideas they have about the end of the world, how they understand those words. So mostly these are the photos from the media showing the last political, ecological, and social catastrophes which we experienced during 2020 and around it. So political prisoners, pictures of torture, war in Syria, for example, and repression against here's our co-curator making kind of a performance. So she has some kind of adjustment to our auditorium. So what she says is it's really an apocalypse we're having here, but it's not like some event like a nuclear explosion or something. It's like a slow process of decay, I believe. Right? Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. So here we have a collection, a fashion collection by Maria Yerokhina, a designer from St. Petersburg, but now she's living in Paris. It was made in 2011 when everybody was expecting the end of the world according to the Maya calendar. So this is an upcycle. The articles are made of the old clothings found and rearranged by the designer. It's kind of some kind of a very I don't know how to say actually. What I was thinking to say, the collection looks very queer and modern, and yeah, voila. So we recommend you here, Maria Yerokhina, Paris, Tennessee, and the last thing I want to show you is the installation by Siberian, no, not Siberian, like an artist from Yamal, Galina Yaptik. She was making a performance during the opening ceremony of our exhibition on the 25th of October, which was called the funeral ritual of the rebirth of Yaptik Galina Eduardovna. That's the name of the artist, the full name. So after this performance, she left this installation made of the grave flowers and some articles found in our apartment. It's kind of something very gloomy and ironic at the same time. Here's the necrologue, quite poetic but quite long. I won't read it. So if you happen to be in St. Petersburg after 17th of April, we welcome you in the open space, which is in the center of St. Petersburg, Russia, Dostoyevskogo Street 34. And the exhibition will hold on till 17th of June for 2 months. So we couldn't show you everything. For example, we couldn't show the video program. We will be happy to answer your questions if you have it. Please leave it in the comments. And also we welcome you online and offline or on our next exhibition, which will start on the 2nd of May. And the title and the topic, the theme is the poverty because after the end of the world, there will definitely be poverty, as many times we saw it in some sci-fi movies. Now we are possibly gonna experience it ourselves. So goodbye. We're waving you with a tail with our co-curator. Say hi. So if you don't have any questions, which you don't, thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people. So bye-bye. If you will have questions after watching the stream in the record, we'll be also happy to answer it. At the end of the world is just beginning. Don't lose your nerve.